What's up, guys? Welcome to a Reach Training podcast, our very first podcast that we're doing. I'm your host, Stephen Hamner. I guess I'm considered your host. We got Greg Roberts and Brandon Butler. So real quick, we're going to talk about why we each got into this field, right? And so we are in a sports performance field. We do a lot of work with baseball and football athletes, youth all the way to pros. And the reason I kind of jumped into this field was pretty simple. I love sports, and I turned out not to be very good at them, right? So I was able to play a little college ball and figured out that, hey, I'm not really good at this. And I started liking the weight room more than the actual sport, right, than football. I started hating practice, but I loved going to the weight room. And so that kind of developed my love for just training and performance. And so then after that, things developed a little bit. And then I started figuring out, like when I started training my early years and then kind of throughout now, that I loved the relationship aspect that comes from training. And so it started with loving training more than the actual sport I was playing. And then it kind of transitioned to liking the relationship as much, if not more, than the actual kind of training aspect of things. Because when you have impact with someone, not just, on the field, but outside, that's kind of the purpose of why we do this. So that's kind of why I got into it. I want to talk a little bit more about some of that, but let's go ahead and pass this along to Brandon, just because he's been in this field a little bit longer than Greg, and we'll kind of jump into it.
That's true. Kind of the same things as you. Fell in love with training early on when I was playing ball. However, as opposed to you, I did not do this or go for school for strength and conditioning when I was in college. I was trying to go as a law enforcement. So when I came out of college, like I said, I always liked training. However, I didn't think there was any money to be made in it. So obviously trying to find a job over trying to find passion. And then the law enforcement thing was working. Found a job working in strength conditioning, got started. Just like Steven, kind of the same things, the same parallels, I suppose. Fell in love with the relationship aspect. Found out I was better at possibly the relationship aspect of training, and then the nuts and bolts side of it came along as far as programming, learning the body, learning the actual sport that I was training. And then from there, just decided that, hey, I'm good at this. I'm better at this than I thought I was, and I can make a living doing something I love to do. So that's how I got into it.
And you've been doing this for about, what, 5-6 years now?
6 years.
Tell the people
man.
what they want to hear. They want to know how long you've been doing this. Okay.
6 years in, man. Like I
Yeah.
said, for me, it's not some crazy story from like college and then working my way up, but literally just making the right decisions, being around the right people, finding good mentors to kind of help me along the way,
Yeah.
and then once again learning that my gift, as far as connecting with somebody and wanting to help them get to that next level, whether it be in sports and how that connects to being a better person, I find more joy in that than anything else I would have been doing.
Yeah.
So
No, that's good stuff, man. And then we're going to get on and talk with Greg here for a little bit. So before you jump in, just to give our thousands of listeners some context, Greg just got done playing in the NFL within the past year, and so he's in the transition period and now has started working with us and getting in the sports performance field. So his experience training might be slim compared to maybe where me or Brandon is in, but his experience being trained by in a high level setting is going to be more than me and Brandon experience. So he's got a whole new perspective to kind of offer as he's developing. But let's go ahead, Greg, and just kind of give your thoughts on why you wanted to kind of jump into this field after you stopped playing, and then kind of your take on everything thus far in your short time being with Reach.
Yeah, I would say I know I played like at a higher level than you guys, but I think like we all start in the weight room. Like I was blessed. I worked with Steve out in high school, so I got to see what a good strength coach is like. And then was fortunate enough to work with Kaz Kazadi up in Baylor, and he was also awesome. Was real good on the sports psychology part, which really helped me. Something that I needed, and just in general, he made the weight room fun. I think that's where it all started for me because I used to hate the weight room. You know that. But developed a love for it and like you said, just from building those relationships. So got done and didn't really know what I wanted to do in my life. We've had a bunch of conversations. And Steve was like, man, you should train. So I was like, okay, we'll try it out. And what I found was It's not necessarily training a kid. I'm not the best at that yet. But I think giving kids back what I didn't have, giving them just foresight and letting them know that they can do it. I was told a lot growing up that I couldn't do it. So I think somebody like me making it, getting that far, coming back and telling the kids and just letting them know that it is possible, letting them see you, and then on top of that, providing like high level training.
I think the biggest maybe misconception from the sports performance field from the outside looking in is that the training stops once the training session stops, right? But the training essentially, or the impact essentially, I should say, is continuous. Like that's when like the real impact happens outside the training session. So like when people come in, regardless if it is a high school kid or a pro athlete, when they realize like the number one priority is that you care about their career and them getting better, and then you have potential for impact outside of it, because that's what we're doing this for is, we want them to be good on the field, football, baseball, whatever sport they play, but we want to have an impact outside of it as well. I think that's the number one key and what makes a good coach, even though we're not sport coaches per se, we're still strength and sports performance coaches. And so, having that similar impact, from the weight room, even though it's not directly from like a skill set of things.
Absolutely, and I think you said something good there.
Just one thing good?
A couple of good things,
okay.
but I want to piggyback off of the last thing you had. It's called personal training for a reason. I think, especially in this field, that everybody wants to, for lack of better terms, get their ego stroked, right? There is like, I want to be the best strength coach. I want to, what kind of athletes am I turning out? They're getting to the next level. They're getting to college. How many pros I have. But at the end of the day, it's a personal experience, and your duty as a strength coach. And like I said, I think that's something that we all realize. And the biggest reason why we wanted to get into it, whether we can say that out loud or not, is that I can have a direct impact on somebody at a personal level. You just said, like, they do care about the output. Where am I going? Can you get me to that next level? Can you get with baseball players? Can you keep me healthy to get to that next level? For you, the experience that you have being a player first and then going into this next transition of being kind of like that coach figure, your experience matters. But on top of that, the biggest thing that matters, whether these clients, athletes know that or not, is, do you care about me personally? And if there is a personal connection there, then you're going to get the best out of that athlete. And if you can't do that, then you're just you're either not a good coach, or you might be better off being an educator or something like that. Because if you can't make a personal connection, it doesn't matter how good you are or how much you know about what you know. If nobody can believe you, or if it isn't genuine because I don't feel a personal connection, then you're not going to get that output from them. So that's a good, on the top of the many good things you just said.
I appreciate that.
I think that emphasis on being having that personal connection is so good. I know people don't like, strength coaches don't like the term personal trainer. It's, it's too small for them, but that's really what you are.
Yeah.
100%.
So we all gonna wear black hats and not tell me? Because I just realized this.
No.
Okay.
Well, bro, look,
I got a hair issue going on.
He got a head issue.
Well, people don't want to see your hair to begin with.
I got a head issue going on. I won't speak.
At least we got black shirts on, so
Absolutely.
at least we're kind of like that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Didn't plan that, by the way.
No, it didn't. It's just
all natural.
Yeah. Well, I just figured what looks good would be a hat on my head, and he did the same.
I look fire in black.
Yeah, and then
personally, and the hat, because I got the beard.
I'll see if we can kind of omit you from the screen so people just so they have to see that. That might be best for everyone.
The viewers just log off.
I mean, geez. I mean, we got like 1,000 people watching right now, so pretty nerve-wracking. It's like live TV.
Absolutely. But I will say this dynamic of what we have here at Restraining, starting this thing together, I think in all the stories, the good thing is that we have 3 different perspectives, right? Here's somebody that played it at the highest level, getting to the NFL and having that experience, these next level coaches, and from there transitioning to a space to where, okay, I kind of want to give back. You being somebody that, as long as I've known you over 10 years now, you always wanted to be a strength coach and be a top of that, have somebody that trains at a highest level. So somebody who's from the very jump, went to college for it and then went a certain route to get to, there's that step in your career where at each step working to a next level. And then me, somebody being kind of like an outsider per se, and then kind of like, I wouldn't say stumbling upon, because obviously I've done things and worked my way to a certain point, but you know, basically understanding that, okay, my route wasn't your route wasn't your route, but we all kind of have this, come to this common place in time to where we're effective at what we do, and we're getting real results. So I think the biggest thing it shows is you don't have to have one route to become a strength coach and train at the highest level. You just need to have a passion for it, and then a certain level of work ethic too, to get to where you want to get.
The last thing I'll kind of touch on this, because you made several good points.
Oh, man, give me my credit, dog.
I'm going to piggyback off your best point.
I'm like Whoopi Goldberg on The View right now. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, hey, teach their own. But you mentioned everyone taking their own path to get there and having their own path. I think the same applies to how you coach others and how you deliver what you're trying to get the athlete to do and accomplish. Like if you train exactly how I train, people are probably going to be pretty bored, right? You need some variety or some variety.
Say it again.
Not
variety.
Not variety. Yeah,
Sheesh,
not the V word.
You were so long on that Viagra, though.
Well, because I saw your backpack. I saw your backpack that you had in this.
What you need
Anyways,
motivation,
bunch of
Viagra.
flavors. Bunch of flavors.
Oh man, this is PG. I promise. If any of our kids are listening to that, like, sorry,
Cut that out, yeah.
ask your parents. They know. But I'm kidding. But anyways, back to kind of what you said, the diversity of how we train. But each kid kind of responds differently. Like a kid that responds to you might not respond to how I train, and vice versa, right? And so I think being in that mindset, where you're not trying to make everyone train how you train. Like say, like for me, for example, whatever, being head over reach, if I wanted everyone to train how I trained, that wouldn't be the best training environment. Sure, you'd be got a lot of good results still probably, but you need different characters. You need to let people be who they are, right? As long as someone is training with intentionality and specificity and with a good understanding of what this athlete's trying to accomplish, then you let them kind of go after it in their own personal way.
Yeah, that's perfect. Perfectly said.